Check, check, check. How about now? Can you hear me now? I'm seeing levels now. That's a good sign. Hey, perfect. Alright, thanks. Thanks for the catch. So what happened there, stupid VR development, it's defaulted my output device to that, Oculus virtual levels, or virtual output. So, yeah. Alright. Levels are always good, especially game levels. So true. So true. Alright, so yeah, what I was saying was basically how off-stream I've been working on VR stuff, and hopefully I will have some stuff to show soon. But yeah. Alright, I guess for now, we'll just get to this guy. So yeah, we got a lot of remeshing to do. Yeah, let's see, I did already remesh the arms, so I should be able to leverage that. Here they are. Yeah, the arms and the head. And I should have UVs on these. Yeah. Alright, so yeah, we're gonna start creating our low poly for this guy. This is a little interesting. This is a little different than a kind of typical high poly, low poly workflow, because we don't really have like high detail all throughout. So, that's a little different. Let's see. How much of this do I really need to do? Well, yeah, the trouble with stuff like this, where you've got a lot of overlapping kind of action, is getting your low poly. So, like, I've got a low poly on here already, right? But it kind of comes inside, and so getting that skinned such that it won't clip through when the arm bends is kind of like tricky. So sometimes it's better to just build over everything and have just one continuous mesh. And yeah, so I'm trying to kind of go through and separate out the things that are kind of obvious, like just add-ons. So yeah, this is kind of like the base level guy, right? And then this, yeah, this could stand to be baked. Honestly, it doesn't even need all this detail. No one's gonna see that. But yeah, we've got a lot of overlapping stuff. Like the neck and the shirt. You know, maybe I'll just keep these guys separate and just retouch, you know, retop it on over here. And then do the legs separately. Oh, that's part of the shirt, I get it. Okay. We could have the collar be a separate variation, couldn't we? You know, I think that was the original intention, actually. But the collar has sort of become a little iconic, I think. I think I'll break it up like this. We'll have arms and hands and head, then we'll have this whole piece, and then we'll have the legs as one whole piece, and maybe the collar will be its own separate piece. That ought to work. Yeah, the collar is like 90% of this guy's personality. He wouldn't be the same without it. Oh yeah, and then this... Nice, yeah, I already put the work in here to make those match up, so all I have to do is merge those. That's nice. Alright. Cool, so I think what I'll do, just try to make this a little easier on myself. Just hide all that. And yeah, hide that. This will all be separate. We'll just approach this as separate pieces. Okay, gotta check this out. Okay, so, as always, here's another one of those Maya things that I miss, or that I miss from Soft Image. And Soft Image I could just trace over all of this, but because these are separate, I can't really do that. So I'd have to like combine them to use Live Surface. Don't really feel like doing that. If there's any Maya people out there who know if there's a way to do that, live surface across, multiple objects, please let me know. I've I've definitely done a fair share of searching about it, and I'm always shocked that nobody has thought to even ask that question. But somehow I've not found the answer to it. Collar perfect for all the denizens of the Dracula universe. Yeah, it does kind of look a little Dracula-esque. Is there a non-vested variant of the guard? Yeah, I don't think so. I think without the vest, his shirt just isn't detailed enough. It just wouldn't look right. The way we make the tougher variants is by having the guy that's got the ammo pouches or the shotgun bandolier. It's like, even though that obviously doesn't give him any extra armor, I think it works for just making him seem tougher. Just because he looks bulkier. Hello, Adrian VR. Welcome, welcome. We are working on a character for our VR game. VR game's called Deadlock. This is the guy, the full model. Yeah, welcome to the vibe zone. Yeah, pretty vibey. But yeah, we're just kind of made this model. I made this model many years ago, actually. So Deadlock, we shipped it into early access in 2016. So like 8 years ago, something like that. Yeah, it's been a long time, but now we're kind of revisiting it and updating it. So yeah, we got this guy. And yeah, we're working on getting him ready for our updated build. Which is, release to be determined. Got a long way to go still. But yeah, we're just kind of hanging out, working on this guy. So Adrian VR, are you working on a VR project yourself? Your name makes it sound like that. This guy has been through several rounds of revision and re-revision. Hopefully this will be his final form. This was one of the first characters I ever made, and it kind of, it shows, but I think that kind of gave him part of his personality. I'm trying to actually kind of remain faithful to that, because, it's not a realistic game with, the real human characters. They're like, weird computer monsters, so it's okay if he's got, weird anatomy as long as it's cool. This is always a tricky process, trying to capture this, all this detail from multiple models in a lower resolution mesh. I find kind of the best strategy is to focus on the outer curves, and once you have those in place, then you just kind of fill it with topology as best you can, and that tends to work pretty well. Of course, as I'm getting in here and, getting closer and noticing more things, I'm, noticing that these don't match up very close, so kind of go ahead and fix that. Gaps in here so that our maps bake out nice. If we did try to bake it with the gaps, it would probably, not be the end of the world. It'd probably still work, but might just be some kind of weird visual effects from it. Boy, sometimes that live surface constraint really doesn't quite do what you think it's doing. It's supposed to snap the verts to the surface, but in this case it snapped them all like several inches inside the surface, which is not what I wanted. I think I probably could have gotten them closer freehand. That's why sometimes I just turn it off. Yeah, basically the key is to get these, edges dialed in and then just fill them in. Easier said than done. Be pretty time consuming. Alright, there we go. I also love it when I can reuse stuff. So, for example, this needs to be reshaped a little bit, but the underlying geometry is the same, so I'm going to use it. And then the whole thing is mirrored, so there we go. That was probably the worst part. Out of the way. That's another kind of principle I try to follow, is to do the worst part first. Like whatever is going to be the hardest, or, you know, possibly slow you down, or maybe be like a, you know, game-breaking problem, do that first. Right? Because if you can't do it for some reason, better to find out sooner. And if you can do it, but it just sucks, better to get it out of the way. There's a book, it's like a, you know, kind of motivational book. It's called Eat That Frog. And basically the premise is, if you have to eat a frog, you might as well do it now. And if you have to eat 2 frogs, you might as well eat the bigger, grosser one first. Yeah, and I kind of took that to heart. Makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Alright, so yeah, now that these are done, it should just be mostly a matter of just sort of working around and connecting the dots. This could sink in a little more. Boy, maybe I should have just run with the medium poly model. Would have been a lot easier. It might not have been though, because the skinning process would doubtless be a lot trickier. So the time I'm spending here will hopefully be regained there, but one never really knows. So this geometry may not be super clean, but it should be okay because of where it's located. This isn't like a heavily bending section. Still want to make it decent, but it should work out fine. This should be adequate, whereas if it was on an elbow or something, it, wouldn't really be adequate. Oh no. Alright, we had a good run. That's our first crash. While Maya's rebooting, I'm gonna run and grab some water. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Got my water. Got Maya booted back up. Checking in this file real quick. It's wise to do that from time to time, or if you're not working with source control, make a copy. The reason for that is, files can get corrupted and, all sorts of stuff can happen. So it's always wise to check them in or make a copy. Alright, let's get back to it. We're almost done with this complicated part. Once that's done, the rest should be pretty straightforward. See, I don't think I lost too much. Oh yeah, but before I continue, let's delete all of our history and freeze all of our transforms. For anyone who's just now joining us, we're doing some retopology. We're reworking an old character from an old game for a new game, or a return to that game. And yeah, this is the guard from Root, who also appears as an enemy in Deadlock, which is kind of like a VR. It's our VR game set in the same universe as Root. Premise is you're a hacker attacking a computer, hacking in, and the way that takes place is by being like a guy with a gun, fighting other guys with guns or weird robots or monsters. And yeah, so this guy is one of the base class enemies. Whoa. Interesting. What is going on here? And we've got some weird topology stuff going on now. Okay, must have had a lamina face somewhere. So anyway, yeah, back to what I was saying was, I made this guy a long time ago, before I really knew what I was doing with 3D modeling. Not that I know now, right? I'm always learning more. But, I certainly knew less back then. And so, I cut a lot of corners. Like, he was originally like going to be like a, like subdiv surface kind of thing. And, he had some sculpted elements, then, all these different things going on. I didn't really have like a defined workflow like I kind of do now. And so we just kind of ran with it, which was fun. It was fine. It worked out well enough, but now, coming back 8 years later, it's just like, yeah, I can't quite run with this guy, especially since I have to give him a new rig and, redo a lot of animation related stuff. I just didn't want to work with that old geometry, so I'm trying to clean it up. Get it at least to like a basic standard. It's there. Well, not really, but we are getting closer. It helps to tell myself we're almost there. So when this guy is done, that's the other thing I did, is I reworked his proportions to make him fit against the Unreal Mannequin's proportions, and that's going to save us a lot of time, because that means I can reuse animations from not only our other game, but any kind of marketplace animations I can find. Although we try to not use a ton of marketplace stuff, but animation, is one of those things that sometimes is just really good to borrow. So, we'll have that option. Maybe bring those in as a base and, kind of refine them a little, tweak them. But yeah, that'll be an option for us. And yeah, I am also hoping I can actually bring in his original animations from the original build of Deadlock back in Unity, because I liked the way those animations looked. They were pretty good. Although we didn't have any like retargeting stuff set, and those animations were made in Blender. I'm hoping I can find a way to retarget them. That should be interesting. If not, we'll make fresh ones and try to kind of match the same style, because they kind of had a unique style. You'll see them in the footage playing above me. Occasionally Deadlock will come up there. Yeah, by and large, we've definitely got a new way of working than we did before 8 years ago. That is, we try to really prioritize systems and building things in a way that is reusable. And that's pretty exciting, when you're a two-man team. Not having to reinvent the wheel all the time is important. But of course we want to do that, without compromising on one of our other, key principles, which is to do everything custom. So those goals are a little incompatible, I guess, but we're finding ways to make them work together. And chief among those is being able to reuse work from one game to another, not in a way that sacrifices the quality of the game, or makes it feel like derivative or a reskin. That's not what I'm talking about at all. We actively avoid doing anything like that, but things like foundational process and workflow, yeah, we try to make those compatible between projects. And this is kind of like the test run, so I've been building stuff out for McSpaceBiff for, I guess, close to a year now. And so this will be the first time trying to actually kind of, bring it in to support another game. So hopefully it works. And if it does, then the upshot is things that we build for Deadlock we can use to make McSpaceBiff better too. So that's the idea. Keep it all kind of working together. So we end up with the best games possible. Slowly but surely coming along. Marketplace animations are great for testing. Exactly, yeah, that's exactly right, Mild One. Mild One is working on the game with me, he's the other dev. And yeah, we've definitely... It's great because you can always use Marketplace stuff to get going, and then you can replace it later on. Assuming your systems are clean and designed to handle things like that, which our original ones were not. But they are now. Yeah, custom animations are the way to go. I mean, yeah, like you're talking about a character's personality, It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to design custom characters with backstories and custom art and everything, and then, use canned animations. It's definitely not what we're after, especially not long term. But then again, sometimes you end up with an animation that's just sort of like a workhorse, and you just kind of, it works. You just, no need to change it, so you leave it, it's okay. I'm sure we'll have some of those. Speaking of like reusing things, and kind of like saving yourself effort where possible. Something that's always kind of been interesting to me is it seems like UI has become a much bigger deal in games, like in recent times. Like for example, look at Half-Life 2 and Portal. Their UI is exactly the same. Right. They did not redesign their UI for Portal, even though it's a different game. So, they probably saved a lot of time and effort doing that. Troopzor! Well, what do we have here? just, hanging out, working on this guy. This guy. Who let Troop Zor in here? Yeah, we need better security. But yeah, so Troop Zor, we're just talking about how, I guess we're just kind of complaining about how much work there is to do. And so I was kind of consoling myself with the fact that we've got some systems in place now that at least let us save some time. Yeah, and then I was starting to think about how isn't it kind of funny that those old games, just like literally cloned the like main menu and UIs, just changed the like background images. But, who cares? Nobody cared. It was an awesome game, right? The HUD in Portal, there is no HUD, and, in Half-Life, it's just like numbers. Yeah, so it's just fine. The government said you could be here. Honestly, I love me some simple UI. Yeah, exactly. Just keep it simple. Not wanting any work is just good practice regardless of team size. I assume maybe you mean not wasting any work. I don't want to do any work. You kidding? As much as I love Horizon Zero Dawn's UI bulk is just way too much. Oh, interesting. Yeah, haven't played it. I know I at least know that game, like by name. Yeah, wasting. Not wanting it. No matter what your team size is, nobody wants to do any work. That's just a fact. So we're trying not to waste work. Meaning, like, if I make an animation for McSpaceBiff, I want to be able to use it on this guy too. I also don't want to have a dozen different, rigs for humanoid characters. I don't want to make a new rig for a humanoid character every single time. So yeah, we've not been doing that, which is new for us. And I think it's gonna help out quite a bit. Same, that's why I'm in this chat. You mean you don't want to do any work? Yeah, just hang out here. You just watch me do the work. That's how the government works, right? It's always, 4 guys standing around watching one guy do the work. You're supervising. Say you're a game dev supervisor. You're supervising the development of a interactive media experience, and it's really important, and that's why you can't be paying attention to your regular job. Horizon Zero Dawn has a good VR spin-off. Yeah, I need to play some more VR games. I'm finally playing through Half-Life Alyx, like a year late or whatever, but it's been pretty cool. It's pretty cool, but at the same time, I can't quite shake this feeling that it's like not like a real game. You know what I mean? Like it just does, Half-Life 2, when I played that for the first time, I played that game late, it came out in 2004, and I didn't get to it till it came to Mac, because I wasn't playing any games at all in 2004, right? But so when I played it, I could just tell that, when it was new, it must have been, incredible. It was just this incredible story, told in an incredible way, supported by technology that, you could tell at one time was totally new, right? And it felt like it was like a story that they wanted to tell for a long time, but they couldn't. And then the technology came along that kind of enabled them to tell it. And it's like they spared no expense, they didn't waste anything, and they got it perfect. Half-Life Alyx is awesome, and I love it, but it's like, it doesn't feel like that to me. It feels like, they're like, we need to make a VR game, so they kind of came up with a story, but it didn't feel like the story was there first. Noob Rip, hello, welcome to the stream. We are doing some character modeling, design. We're working on this guy. He's a security goon for our game, and I'm reworking his model a little bit. Oh, hey, what's up, Shiloh? Welcome to the stream. Let's see. Let me catch up on the chat a little bit. Horizon is not quite Half-Life Alyx levels, but it's pretty close in terms of being a polished single-player VR game. Half-Life Alyx is so good. Yeah. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Am I overthinking that? I feel like Half-Life Alyx is awesome, but it doesn't feel like a definitive Half-Life game, Like Half-Life 2 just had this feel where it was like, oh man, like this is like the game. Like this is the way we're gonna play games from now on, but Alyx does not quite have that feel to me. It feels almost like a fan game. I'm sure I'll get roasted for that. But like, you know what I mean? It's like just everything about it, like, yeah, Half-Life Alyx did feel like it was mechanics first, story second. Yeah, like just stuff like, I don't know, like Russell, the Russell character, like he's cool. I like him. But it's like, it feels like they were like, oh, it can't be Kleiner. Like we can't have Kleiner in here because he's like core canon, you know what I mean? Yeah, no spoilers. I haven't finished it yet. But like, like why is Russell not just Kleiner? Like, I mean, maybe there's a good reason for that, but it certainly comes across to me like they're just like, this is like the McDonald's version, like this is the demo. Like it feels like a demo. I don't know. I could be wrong. Yeah, it's like, there hasn't really been a VR game to my knowledge that feels like the game. I mean, honestly, there hasn't been a game at all that feels like it's like the game, like, whoa, this is the new generation game that like we're all gonna reference for the next 10 years, like in terms of like lore and just like the overall experience. Alyx is too soon, limited by the technology. It's obviously like they did like the best they can, like with the VR, like the current limitations on VR. Well, I guess maybe I wouldn't even say that because it's obvious they're trying really hard not to make anybody motion sick, whereas they could probably do some really amazing stuff if they were a little bit more like daring with it. But obviously they're afraid of getting, criticism. And maybe that's the difference, like Half-Life 2 wasn't afraid of criticism. Like it's goofy, it's silly, but it's like, they didn't care. And as much as people kind of like criticize it for its silliness, I mean, people just still kind of love it, right? Yeah, it feels like they were too afraid to make the game be a mainline entry. I mean, yeah, you're not Gordon. Yeah, and I kind of get that, but I feel like it could have been more than. And I'm not done with it yet, but like, well, like for example, just so far, all the weapons are all like one-handed weapons. And, I mean, I'd be pretty surprised if they change that. Like, I've gotten to the point where I've got the Combine SMG. Uh-oh. Oop. Okay, had a little freeze there. But yeah, I was saying, I've got the Combine SMG, and so I'm in Chapter 7, and so at this point, all the weapons are one-handers, which I don't really understand why they're all one-handers, because, you know, like there's VR games now that are doing two-handed weapons, and it's pretty cool, you know? Like using a two-handed weapon in VR like feels pretty awesome when it's done well. Like a shotgun, like a pump-action shotgun, or, you know, like a rifle or something. And yeah, it's odd that they didn't do any of that. But like again, it's probably because like it's just a little bit weird, like getting the hang of using a weapon like that in VR, and they wanted it to be like, I guess, uncriticizable. And that's, I think, what ruins games, to be honest. Because if your game's uncriticizable, that means you're not taking any risks. And if you're not taking any risks, how is your game possibly going to be cool? Right? You know, like there's plenty to criticize about the original Half-Life, but, you know, it's like, you know, they just, you know, went with it anyway, you know, because it was cool. And they were like, yeah, it's cool. If you don't think it's cool, that's fine, you know? And I guess that's the attitude that I don't detect from Alex, or really any modern game. Yeah, I don't know. And Durant, I guess. And again, not saying I don't like Alex or that it's not good. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. It's good, but maybe it's not great. You know, maybe it's not like ever going to be a legend like some games. You know, like, you know, Doom and Wolfenstein and Half-Life. You know, I mean, like those games are legends, and, you know, nothing has quite come close to that, in my opinion. Yeah, VR is not mainstream. Mild one, going right from playing Boneworks to say Half-Life Alyx, it did feel limited. They went for polish over innovation. Half-Life was at the forefront of pushing boundaries. Yeah, and I guess I don't understand that attitude of like, we can either have polish or innovation, you know? Like, I mean, Half-Life 2 was polished. I don't know, maybe it wasn't. I guess it's kind of like hard to say too, because it's been updated since it was released, you know, 10, 20 years ago. So maybe the original version felt a lot more jank, I don't know. But I mean, the current version still feels kind of jank, but I wouldn't say it's not polished. Yeah, we do love Valve games. Any classic FPS game is like why we're here, you know? The old classics. Oh yeah, something else. I need to look this up and verify it, but I noticed while playing, you know, I was playing and I picked up, you know, like an item in a crate, and it was like a heartbeat sensor or something, you know, like some kind of medical device, and it said on the, you know, on the thing, it said Deco Medical, which if you're in the 3D art world, you know, you'll know about Decogon, which is a, you know, an outsourcing studio, and they do amazing work. I mean, all their work is beautiful. But so maybe it's a coincidence that said Deco Medical. I can look it up and see if, you know, it's true or not. But that, you know, so like they, you know, it's entirely possible. Likely Valve, you know, outsourced some of their prop modeling to Decogon, which, you know, why wouldn't they? Decogon does great work. You know, so it's not like that hurt the game. But, you know, it's just one of those things, you know, where it's like, man, you kind of think of a company like Valve as being like, you know, someone at like they're responsible for like every little detail, but it's probably not the case. You know, so they outsourced some prop modeling at least. You know, they probably outsourced some other stuff too. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like it makes sense. It's good business to outsource stuff. There's a lot of things that need to be done in a game, so it totally makes sense. I'm not like hating or anything, you know. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I wish I kind of miss that like attitude of like game developers being like rock bands, you know, like a rock band is not gonna like bring in another person to, I don't know, maybe they do. I don't know anything about music, but I sure don't picture them bringing in like someone else to write their songs and perform them, you know? I can definitely say everything that we possibly can do ourselves for our games, we do by ourselves. And, you know, it's probably not smart, but it's fun. Yeah, mild one. I wish there were more physics puzzles in Alex, like the stacking of the concrete blocks in Half-Life 2. Yeah, totally. Totally, that would have been cool. And yeah, kind of surprised. There were definitely like some like kind of physics puzzle sort of things, but yeah, definitely not a ton. Definitely nothing where you're like, you know, rocketing around and, you know, swinging from thing to thing like you would be in Half-Life 2. Outsourcing art better than full AI content, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. Definitely. I don't know. I'm kind of a black and white thinker, so I kind of see them as almost the same. I mean, you know, what's the difference? You know, you're outsourcing it to, you know, people or a robot, you know. I mean, it's people, you know, making your game that, you know, don't have their name in the credits, right? I mean, that just kind of sucks, like, no matter what. Or, like, you know, maybe they do have their names in the credits, but I don't know. You know, nobody reads the credits, right? People just kind of think Valve did this. Or, you know, like everybody does it. I mean, like even From outsources stuff too. You know, for Elden Ring, a lot of the character designs were outsourced. And they were great, you know. But people are like, oh yeah, From does amazing stuff. And it's like, yeah, well, From, you know, hired someone else to do amazing stuff, you know. Yeah, perfect examples. Linkin Park bringing in someone else to sing Chester's songs after post-death just isn't the same. When people outside a studio work on a project, it just doesn't have the same soul. Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I guess it's like, to me, it's kind of like owning the successes and the failures, you know, like if a group makes a game or, you know, makes a song or whatever, and it's like, you know it's that group, then it's like, you know, you can like it or you can not like it, but it's theirs, you know, they did it. They made it, you know, the success or the failure is, you know, like they own it. It's, you know, that's cool. But if it's like just a business, you know, you're like, you know, oh no, that was, it's like, you know, you're talking like, that's not, yeah, you're not like, you know, you're like a bureaucracy now, just like kind of being like, oh, whose fault is this, you know, oh, it's sales, you know, oh no, it's not us, it's marketing, you know, and everyone's just kind of like everyone's kind of got plausible deniability, you know? Um, mediocrity just sort of like thrives in an environment like that, you know? Whereas if it's like, you know, who did this? You know, Will did that. Well, this really sucks. What were you doing, Will? You know, then I've got to be like, I just, you know, kind of sucked at that, I guess, you know, and I gotta, you know, take ownership for that personally, you know? It's like, I'm gonna maybe try harder next time. And yeah, and I don't know, I don't really have any problem with that. I mean, I'd rather someone tell me like, hey, this really sucks, than to just be like, yeah, that's great, you know, and they don't really mean it, you know? Um, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, people don't put much stock and faith in studios these days because of that. Yeah, they're basically just like, you know, they like just own the intellectual property. You know, they don't necessarily even make the games. Yeah, I guess it's almost like the like line between developer and publisher is kind of like merging. Boy, one thing that would be great to, well, I wouldn't want to outsource it, but if I could, I would like, yeah, I guess here's my solution. Here's my master plan, right? I don't really want to outsource much. And like, okay, some things I'd consider outsourcing, but I'd be careful about what it is. And I'd only, and like kind of like my rule, I guess, for outsourcing would be, you know, if it's like to someone that's like just gonna do a way better job, right? Like view model animation. Like there are so many view model animators that I see on Twitter that are just like incredible. They're just like, there's no way I'll ever be that good, you know? Um, and that's like important for a game, right? Like your art can kind of suck a little bit, but like if your view model animation sucks, that's really gonna impact the game. So I would consider hiring someone like that, you know, as a contractor to just kind of punch everything up a level. But also because it's the kind of thing that can just sort of slot in. You know, like you just get the new animations and you just slot them in and just boom, now all of a sudden the game's better, right? So that's probably the only thing I'd really think of outsourcing. You know, music, although I'd much rather work with an in-house, you know, audio person. And, you know, we kind of sometimes kind of have those guys kind of on and off. But yeah, but one thing, what I'd really like to do rather than outsourcing is just scale, you know, have a bigger company, like have some actual, you know, junior employees and give them the stuff like what I'm doing right now, right? You know, retopology. I don't really want to do this. Like, I don't really want to be sitting here, like, connecting every vert to every other vert and baking maps and doing all that, you know? Like, this character is already designed. I like high poly modeling. I like texturing. I feel like there's, you know, creativity in those actions. There's a lot less in retopology, but it's still important. You know, it needs to be done, and it needs to be done well. You know, if it's not, the game, you know, will suffer for it. So, but it would be really nice if I could, you know, delegate it to somebody else, you know, that I could oversee. And like maybe come in after they've done 80% of it and just sort of like get it over the finish line, you know? So yeah, if I, you know, had the means to hire people, that's probably the first thing I'd delegate out. But then it's also, I think it's cool that, I've got a lot of experience doing this. So when that day does come, and I ask someone to, do this, like I know full well what I'm asking them to do. I've worked in roles where, you've got a boss and they're like, here's the task, do this. And, you're kind of like, and they're like, oh, and we need it done by the end of the week, and you're kind of like, whoa, hold on. Do you know what you're asking? And they're like, it doesn't matter. They just like, they're like, it needs to be done because I said so. And it's like, okay, you clearly don't quite get what you're asking for. You're being unrealistic. And that stresses some people out. I just kind of laugh and I'm just like, I'd say, oh, look, I'll do my best, but it's not going to happen. But that's it's tough working for people like that. So I'm glad I have all this experience so that someday, if I've got a team working with me on this kind of stuff, I can know what I'm asking them to do. Let's see, catch up on this chat. The CEO of Sony said they didn't have enough IPs to make games with. That's crazy. That's insane. Yeah, that's kind of perplexing. Sony has to have tons of IPs. How about Bloodborne Remastered? Everyone would buy that. Wait to get this guy in the engine. Yeah, if they offered 120 FPS Bloodborne Remaster, I'd pre-order a PS5 Pro today. I wouldn't go that far, but I'd play it, when it was old. If they made it for PC, I'd buy it today. Actually, no, I wouldn't buy it today. I don't have time to play Bloodborne again right now. When we're done with Deadlock, when we're done with Deadlock version, 0.2 or whatever we're gonna call it, then I would get it. This is like pretty much all I've been doing. Like I haven't been watching any TV. Just like every spare moment I've got, just working on this stuff. Just trying to get an update ready. Trying to get not even that, just trying to get the groundwork ready so that we can try to get an update ready. Yeah. Yeah, there's a pretty long way to go. But it is, oh, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be so cool. I'm starting to get pretty excited actually about new Deadlock and like what all it could be. Yeah, I've been doing this and playing Half-Life Alyx, right? But Half-Life Alyx is work. Like that's research. Wow, this is gonna look sweet. Hello, random kid. Random kid, this looks really cool, dude. Thank you. Thank you, random kid. And welcome to the stream. Let's see, I'll give you some context. This is the full character that we're currently working on remodeling. Is KT going to cost money? I'm sorry, I don't understand what KT is. But yeah, so we're making a VR game called Deadlock. It's one of the games that plays in this little video rotation up here. That's our first game playing now. It's called Root. But yeah, the idea is you're a hacker holding out against a DDoS attack. Deadlock VR will cost money. Yes. Yeah, I guess that's what you meant. Is it going to cost money? If you want something free to play, though, we do have a free prototype of a game we started a few years ago. And it's going to start playing up here at some point. I'll point it out when it does. Is it going to cost money? Yes. But if you want something free to play, keep an eye out up here for Denizen. It's totally different. So we've made a lot of different games that all basically have nothing to do with each other. Denizen it's playing now, so it's like a more atmospheric, gritty, almost horror game, kind of like a horror game with like some survival elements to it and story elements. But yeah, it's a free prototype. It's like 20 minutes playthrough. And then we've got Root, which is kind of like a Deus Ex inspired sort of like stealth action FPS game for desktop. And Deadlock is a VR game. So Deadlock is set in the same universe as Root, and the idea is you're a hacker defending against an attack on your system, and that takes the form of, fighting against weird guards and, dogs and, robots and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going to, I'm going to buy it. Heck yeah, sweet. Thanks, random kid. Oh yeah, we're so back. But yeah, so on this stream we just kind of hang out and just sort of work on various things. Today it's 3D design, character design for this guy. That's our other game up there. That's Captain McSpaceBiff. So yeah, at this point we've got 4, pretty different games in various stages of completion. The only totally completed one being Root. Deadlock is available in early access, but it's an old build. So it's like, the build is pretty old, and it's gonna be, totally revamped. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that. So it's like Dishonored. Yeah, actually, yes. Yeah, we made Root, I think, at least before any of us had played Dishonored, maybe before it came out too. But yeah, it's kind of like, you approach it how you want, whether you want to be sneaky or hostile. And yeah, so there's like some strategy to it. And Root has pretty minimum system requirements, so if you've got like an older PC, it runs pretty well. Let's see. Deadlock, yeah, Mild One. So Mild One's the other dev working with me. You can tune in and see his streams on Tuesday and Thursday nights. He does more like level design and game design type stuff. Let's see. But yeah, he says it's Deadlock is going to be kind of like John Wick in VR, but wave defense. Yeah, that's the idea. The current Deadlock is a little more like Space Pirate Trainer, if you know that game. Just a standing in place, room scale wave shooter. Random Kid, how do you get early access? It's on Steam, so you can just, Mild One, if you want to drop a link in there to the Steam page. I think it's on sale right now, so it's probably like a few bucks, I don't know, don't quote me. But yeah, so you just buy it on Steam and you'll get the early access, and that means you'll get all the updates for free as we roll them out. And yeah, then our other game, Captain McSpaceBiff, is something totally different. And that one, we're still in like pre-prototype. So like, oh no, don't crash. Ooh, that's close. History. Yeah, it's, yeah, so you can wishlist McSpaceBiff. I don't have VR. Yeah, I know, most people don't. You're not missing out on too much, to be totally honest, right? Like, you know, there's there's thousands of awesome games you can play on desktop. There's, I don't know how many good ones for VR. Definitely not thousands, though. But yeah, and then yeah, don't forget Denizen, because yeah, that game's free. So if you're just looking for something to do, I mean, it's not like a game. It's just it's a prototype that we built years ago with the hopes of, you know, kind of like just kind of gauging interest and seeing if people were into it. And then we just kind of abandoned the project because of just, you know, a lot of different reasons. You know, this is kind of a hobby, you know, for most of us, and we all kind of went offline for, you know, many years. But we just kind of couldn't bring ourselves to, you know, totally leave it behind. So we're back now and kind of doing what we can to kind of build it back up. But yeah, so the upshot is Denizen is a fully featured 20-minute free game. And it might actually be my favorite of all the games we've made. It's definitely different, but it's, you know, I think I'm pretty proud of how it turned out. And I'm proud of Root and Deadlock too. I mean, they're all, you know, they all turned out pretty good, in my humble opinion. Was it published in 2016? Yeah, that's Deadlock. Like I said, we, you know, started this, you know, back in like 2014 when we were all still like in school. We made a few games, and then we kind of, you know, got out of it for a while, and now we're kind of getting back into it. And so part of that is revisiting Deadlock and trying to kind of revitalize it, which is what I'm working on right now. It's kind of a marketing nightmare. We're, you know, definitely not the best at marketing. Sweet, glad you like the looks of it. Yeah, here we are 8 years later. So true. Yeah, and then if you're at all interested in learning how to make games or, kind of the process, I've been trying to kind of edit these streams down into some sort of like long form tutorials. So that's kind of work in progress. And then I teach game design part-time. So that's all keeping me pretty busy. Are you able to put it on App Lab? I don't know what that is. Heck yeah, add it to your wish list. That's awesome. That's huge for indie devs. Like, wish lists are very important for us, just to kind of gauge like interest and viability of a project. It's a huge help. And of course, all the usual, subscribing. I see you subscribed to YouTube. Thanks. Good to have you on board. We've also got a Discord server where we try to keep people up to date. So yeah, feel free to, join all those things. All that stuff really helps us, kind of, keep our community going and, just kind of, prove to, ourselves and potentially down the road maybe publishers that, we've got an interested fan base in what we're building. So yeah, all that stuff really helps. It sounds tired and cliche, I know, but it's true. Done with this part. What I'm really looking forward to is when I can be done with this and start doing some Blueprint VR development on stream. I think that'll be really interesting. Right, yeah. Then when we're ready to do testing, we'll be reaching out to our Discord first to get testers. So yeah, definitely hop in there if this kind of stuff seems up your alley. And tell your friends, if you've got anyone else that, does gaming and is looking for something a little different. And, we need all the people we can get right now. I'm kind of surprised this has taken me this long to get this far, but oh well, here we are. So what I've got to figure out now is how do I want to connect this to the rest of the body? Let's see. I've got these. These I'm just going to overlap. Definitely not going to try to connect those. That'd be a nightmare. Smooth this. So, question is, do I want to do the same with the arms, or do I want to try to go the full 9 yards and actually, like, build them together? See ya. Alright, thanks for hanging out, random kid. Nice meeting ya. Alright. Yeah, for everybody else out there, follow Random Kid's great example and be sure to do all the things. All the follow and wish list, all of that. I might try to just go the whole 9 yards and build these to connect. That'd be pretty cool. And it would make the skinning process a lot easier, so... Alright, I got 24 verts on here. So... if I could match that, that would be ideal. Mild one, rules of the Discord. Buy the game when we tell you to. So true. So true. Yeah, by joining our Discord, you are legally agreeing to buy the game when we tell you to. Can I make the guy buff? I think he's pretty buff already. Is he not buff enough? Me and Harrison argued about this. Harrison thought he was too buff. This is his full detail arms. So yeah, is that not buff enough? I thought this was pretty buff. Even more buff? Yeah, Harrison, you can always be more buff. Like, buff. Even further beyond. Yeah, I'm thinking too small. This guy needs to be even buffer. If I wasn't already, 4 streams and 2 hours into this, I may do that. I would maybe do that, but I think he's probably buff enough. I gotta keep it moving, Could maybe just sort of scale it out a little more. Maybe. Let's see. Or maybe just add more veins. Maybe that's all he needs. How's that? Just subtly even more buff. He's so real. I hope he's not too real. This guy. I would not want to meet this guy in real life. I mean, this guy's a monster. It's a big old monstrosity. This guy would be like in a freak show. Kind of swole. He's come a long way. Yeah, let me pull up the original. Let's see, where is he? He's in here somewhere. There he is. This was like my first character design that I pretty much, not like ever, but definitely one of the first ones. Like, yeah, probably back in 2012 or something like that. So, yeah, like 10 years ago. And yeah, I made that in Blender. And then he's been through a lot of revision. And today, now he's this guy. And have you seen the shoes? I built most of this on stream. Well, I built a lot of this for another character, actually. And then stole it for this guy. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how the shoes turned out. Maybe a little too detailed. Excuse me. Alright, a lot of stuff to keep track of. I'm realizing that I've been basing all of this off of that version of the shirt, but I've got a different version in ZBrush. I'll make sure I use this. There we go. And now these are out of date, so delete those. Move that over for now. So I'm reducing the number of points because ZBrush can handle a lot more than Maya can. There we go. So there's the new even buffer arms. All right. Cool. Bring this back, and now this needs to be adjusted. That might be too much. I guess it can never be too much. You ask yourself if it's too much, and if so, push it further. Love him. He's perfect. The ultimate specimen. Heck yeah. Alright, so now I gotta get ready to combine these parts. So what I want is I want to make sure, well actually let me make this a little easier on myself. Just delete this side, pretend it doesn't exist, and split this so I don't have to worry about any of that. Okay. Now, I want to insert a loop that follows the contours of the sleeve. And that way, when I do the retopology, I can just cut the UVs right there. That'll all make sense in a well, probably will take some time to get there, but if you've watched any of my previous streams, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if not, you'll see. Basically, I'm thinking ahead to what I'm going to have to do later to transfer all of this high detail onto this lower detail model. And yeah, that it's also important for texturing, although we'll be skipping that step because all the color and detail in Root and Deadlock come from shaders that we don't really use textures. But we still need our UVs to be proper because we still need normal maps. That's just part of, making this look nice and detailed without spending, many thousands of polygons. Because, the computer has a limit on how many polygons it can efficiently render. For VR, it's even less than traditional games, because VR, you need a higher refresh rate, so, 90 or more, whereas on desktop, 60 is adequate. So you need 90 or more, and you need 90 frames per eye, so the rendering requirements of VR are extreme. So every bit of performance we can save is very important. Here it is. I was looking for this, and it was here the whole time. Alright, so here's the idea. So we've got 24 edges there. So I want to create a loop that matches that. Come on, turn on Make Live. There we go. I can turn this on to be a little bit of a guide. And now we'll just start going around, making this loop. I don't even really have to count them because I can see the edges, so I know I'm gonna end up with the same number. But then when I'm done here, it's just a matter of filling the gaps. And then I can merge these, and then I think we'll be done with the whole torso, which is going to be really nice. About this kind of stuff a lot, but the fact is it is kind of fun when you get used to it. I don't know, it's weird. Yeah. So there we have that. Now just push it out a little bit. Focus exclusively on these. There we go, and now we can turn this off. Cool. Alright, we're almost there now. What's going on here? It's letting me add an edge loop here for some reason. It's weird. There it goes. I don't know. Just one of those Maya things, I guess. Do I think scars might look cool on him? Well, maybe. There's a couple reasons, I think, probably to avoid that. One is this guy is, there's going to be a lot of him. Like, you know, you'll be fighting, like, many copies of him, right? Because it's like he's not an individual. He's like a, you know, like one soldier in an army, you know? So you're going to be seeing him over and over and over again. So any kind of distinguishing feature like that would kind of break the illusion of, you know, this being multiple different characters. So that's one reason to avoid it. But then the other reason would be the art style we're going to be using in the end is very like neon and like kind of low detail, so it probably just wouldn't even show through. So yeah. It's a cool idea, though. Thanks for the suggestion. If this were an individual, like if this was like a, you know, like the captain or, you know, something like maybe make a version of him that's got scars and an eye patch or something. You know, he doesn't have eyes, but. That'd be honestly kind of funny. Actually, just give him an eye patch even though he doesn't have eyes. That'd be kind of hilarious. Maybe we should do that. But it would have to be for like a variation on him that's not like the base. Because, you know, they can't all have, you know, scars and an eye patch. It would, you know, it would look weird when you see them like repeated over and over. Yeah, I'm always kind of adding little, like, unique details to characters, you know, and then Harrison's like, you know, hey, we can't have that. It's going to be repeated, you know, and it's like, oh, then I got to take it out. So yeah, you just get, like, so into designing a character sometimes. Yeah, it's important to keep that end goal in mind. I do kind of like the idea of having like a unique captain or something down the line, you know, maybe when we're, you know, when we've got most of this stuff done and then we're thinking, you know, what we can play around with to make stuff more interesting. Boy, this multi-cut is really acting up. Come on, multi-cut. Ugh. Freaking Maya, dude. We never should have made YouTube shorts talking crap about Maya. Now it's like fighting back. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe it's because I had some dots placed, so it was trying to place based on that. No, that's not it. It's just jank. Well, this tool is supposed to work. I wonder if restarting Maya would help. So we go through my checklist. I've got symmetry off, cleared my tool settings, cleared my history. I have all frozen transforms. This tool is still not behaving. I'm going to do a quick restart. So we'll check in that file while I'm at it. Oh, yeah, look at that. Yeah, that's how that's supposed to work. Don't ask me why I have to reboot to make it work. Is what it is. Alright, so the goal now is just to fill this with polygons of roughly equal size without introducing too much topology that would be very difficult to bend. One sec. Alright. I think that's just about it. Alright, cool. So there we go. That is the torso. Alright, and these match up perfectly, so it's going to be easy to merge them. Cool, cool. Alright, and it's only 2016 verts. That's great. So that's pretty much ready to go. So now, gotta do the legs, and then all the other odds and ends. Oh boy, it's gonna be a little bit of a slog. Let's see, how long have I been at this? 2.5 hours? Yikes. Alright. Probably call it here. It's a decent place to quit, I'd say, for the day. Any questions? Anybody got any questions or comments? So that's the original, and now this is the reduced geometry. You can see how, so this, you know, like all this together, see that's 776,000 vertices, whereas all this together is 6,000 vertices. Hang on, I read that wrong. This is 217,000. And this is 6,500. You're better at this than I am? Well, I'd hope so. I've been doing it for a long time. But I think it's, you know, anybody can learn it. You know, if you're interested in this kind of thing, it's really not like that crazy of rocket science. You know, you can go download Blender for free and get started with that. You know, if you're into it, if you're interested. Oh, what happened here? Weird. Stuff like that always kind of happens. There we go. And done properly, high poly and reduced poly. Just look at the before, look at a before and before pic instead of a before and after. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Do you mean this guy? Is this the before? Good job on not letting this guy have the same poly count as the 70,000 vert Starfield sandwich. Yeah, so true. So true. Oh, let me see if I can pull that up. The Starfield sandwich. I thought I knew where it was, but I guess I don't. Oh well. Basically, there's this sandwich in Starfield that's just like a mess. It has tons of vertices. But yeah, so yeah, this guy, he's looking lean. Lean on the polygons, but not lean on the arms. That's what we want. Alright, so yeah, I was hoping to get a little further on stream today. I was hoping to have basically all of this done and ready to bake, but oh well. We'll see what we can do next time. Yeah, we're getting there. Alright guys, well, thanks for hanging out. It's been real. And yeah, alright. Till next time. Alright, peace.